The whole thing, and I think it's funny, as a young guy, you sometimes forget, I think everyone thinks they're going to be an athlete. I mean, that's all there is to life. It's hard to teach to young people, but there's a lot more to life than just, being good at whatever your endeavor is in regards of one, education, and probably more importantly, character. The skills that, I was able to learn, maybe not at the time, you don't realize it, but I look back and say, thank God that I took school seriously, but more importantly, carried yourself the right way. And it's a skill that, I think sometimes you don't realize it's being taught until you look back.
Dan, as a student, I remember him as having this, intense passion, I would call it, to really achieve excellence in all areas of his life. It wasn't just on the rink. He always had a big smile on his face and had this infectious laugh that kind of rippled through the classroom, and he was just a real easy kid to be around. The Edge takes grade 9 students to Boston just to give them experience about what life as an NCAA athlete might be like. And Dan went when he was in grade 9, and I think he thoroughly enjoyed his experience, and you could tell the wheels were turning, and this was something that he wanted for himself one day.
In the back of my mind, I figured maybe this would be an interesting weekend. And at the Boston College game, because he was underage, they couldn't actually talk to him unless you walked on campus. And when we walked on campus, Jerry York, who's now the most winning hockey coach in NCAA history, got a hold of Dan and basically paraded him around all day and in between periods of the game and after the game. And I think he just got a real good feel for what college life would be. And it is a wonderful place.
I think there's lots of great schools. I'm going to be biased, though. I think the program from regards to hockey, you talk about culture and people, Jerry York is his first thing he'll tell you, and maybe to his fault, is I want to have better kids than I want kids to go and be successful in life. I don't care if they actually make the NHL. And he does want you to make the NHL, and he gives you every opportunity to, but it's a good mentality. He's like, I want to create good people.
And this is a funny story. Jerry York never swore the whole time he was there. So you have this picture of hockey coaches, just in your face. Jerry York was the biggest gentleman you'll ever meet. And I said, Dan, what's the worst word that Jerry York ever used? And he goes, cripes. I said, what did you do to get a cripes out of me? He says, I banked the puck off the boards and hit him in the head. And he says, cripes, Dan. And he had this squeaky voice. So Dan had a pretty easy ride with coaches.
It's one of those experiences, though, that I wouldn't have been able to have without, that kind of edge background in regards of just even thinking about the academics and hockey as a kind of package. Because a lot of people always, it's neither school or sport or whatnot. They don't think about it as a combined thing. Canada's a unique beast where there's so many good players, and I'm not naive to the fact there's a lot of luck. Like, you got to be in the right place at the right time, and you got to produce, don't get me wrong. But you look back at those teams, and then you look back at guys that didn't make the team, and you're like how the heck did that happen? But I remember at the time it was as high as you could get in regards of your kind of playing career and the ability to represent especially the first year when we got to play in Vancouver. I remember 18,000 fans going crazy, and I think we won like 6-1, and the fans are going nuts.
I think for Dan, loved it, great experience. I think stressful, teaches you how to deal with stress, because you're expected to be a gold medal winner, and for the 40 days you're locked away. It's hockey, hockey, hockey.
In the second year, we were in Sweden in a small town, so we rented a house, and it was in the middle of nowhere, and we literally spent 18 hours of the day in that house, and you go to the rink and eat and come back to the house. It's one of those things that you'll never forget, and I still have the picture, our team picture, in the basement, and I kind of gives you chills when you look at it. I said one of the good lessons, and I've told this story before, but so Quinville was just brought into Chicago, and it would have been my second year, I think, in Chicago's camp. And, I had like everyone, you're biased, and you think, I had an all right camp. Like, I knew for sure I wasn't making the team.
When he decided to walk away from the game, and, he walked away with a year left on his contract. And I think Chicago were kind of like, are you crazy? And I just said, Dan, if it's time to do something else in your life, do it.
I probably made my decision quicker than a lot of guys did or do, and that's just, I think it's just everyone's different. There was always other things that I was passionate about and excited about, and hockey is a unique thing where hockey opened every door in the world for me. But it comes back to the education side, where for me, like, I was comfortable to walk away from hockey because, I was ready to go and learn about another job or another career. And I was excited to do that. And being in college, especially, once I graduated, my college friends were all making their careers in the real world. And you go, okay, it's not that scary. These guys were able to do it. But the other side of it is they were starting to progress in their careers in the real world. And you're kind of sitting there going, okay, there's we don't have this infinite time horizon where we can just jump back in and you're going to get, I've got all this opportunity to progress. Like, it's harder as you get older.
When he actually walked away from the game, he became a better person. Took all that pressure off him, started to relax, and his focus for his next goal in life started day two. And Dan walked away early. I mean, he went to school and he's 17, so he's out of university at 21 and played a couple years of pro, and cold turkey at probably 23 years old. And but I think education made that easy for him. He fell into a very good career in Vancouver, and
then I lived there for about 2 years, and Dan was it was right when he kind of had stopped playing hockey, and he took a job out in Vancouver, and so it only made sense for him to move in with me.
We're a really close family to this day. I can't think of a Christmas that we haven't all been there.
Well, I think obviously it was a great experience. Dan was working very, very hard. He started his CFA course, so I think he was up early, studying, in bed early. Like, they didn't see each other a lot, to tell you the truth. I mean, they had their, he's not the neatest guy. Ali's neat.
He was a horrible roommate, though, for certain things. Like, I would do laundry, and, I hadn't changed my, washer stuff into the dryer yet, and he'd come home from his workout and put his dirty workout clothes in, my clean, washed clothes, and it used to drive me nuts.
The hardest thing for her would be she's a neat freak, and I would leave stuff all over the place, and it wasn't much of a cook. That would be the other one. I would always be snacking on whatever she made.
He used to eat all my food. I would meal prep and make food for the week, and I would make chili, a vegan chili, all the time, and he would just eat it all, in one sitting. So I finally started telling him that it had a nut base to it because he's allergic to nuts, so that he wouldn't have to eat it, which was kind of mean, but I was just trying to save myself. But it was a nice experience. Dan and I have always gotten along really well, so it was nice to be able to live with each other those years and be happy that we didn't rip each other's heads off.
Ali got married this summer, last summer, in August, and she didn't have any bridesmaids or a maid of honor. She had Dan, and he was called the man of honor. But we laughed our heads off. We sat down in the church, and they had not changed maid of honor in the program, and so it said, maid of honor, Dan Bertram. So we giggled and called him the maid of honor, but it just shows you how close their relationship is. So Dan stood right beside Ali on her wedding day, and Andrew had his brother, and it couldn't have been more perfect.
Those are tough jeans. I don't know what I was thinking there. Some of my best friends to today are people I went to school with, and from very early ages, grade 7, 8, 9, and kept that friendship through college, through working in different cities, guys playing in different cities.
I think one of the highlights for both Dan and Ali is just all the wonderful people they've met, played with, coaches they've had, mentors they've had, and as they get older and at some point in time have their own families, those will be the memories. They'll be the people that you've met along the way.
The fun we had, I think looking back and how spoiled we were in regards of being able to, get a great education, but also be able to, follow the dream and the passion that you had. And hockey was me. I know lots of kids now have the opportunity to follow different dreams and do that through Edge. But, we were definitely very spoiled, and it's one of those kind of looking back thinking like, wow, what an opportunity set and that we were given to go pursue pursue the passion that we had. It's funny how you kind of connect the dots, but you connect the dots through, the Edge and the experience that you had there.